We're going to talk about some of the cold-tolerant viburnums today. And the viburnum, that's a large genus. We can't grow a lot of the showy ones, but we've got several that we're going to show you today that are just beautiful. The main thing about the viburnums, they're going to need some space as they can get quite large. And here we've got one of the arrowwood viburnums. I think this is my favorite species within the viburnum group. This happens to be blue muffin. I believe it gets that name probably from that nice blue set of berries you're going to get in the fall. Now, we don't have fruit on this shrub, and that brings up the point that the viburnums, they do need a cross-pollinator. So I don't have another arrowwood viburnum growing in the area, but I still get to enjoy the flowers. I'll eventually add another variety. Here's a look at an arrowwood viburnum that does have that fruit set. Looks like that's about an 8 to 10 foot shrub. And as we mentioned, the viburnums, they're gonna need space. Pretty much all of them get up into that 8+, some of them even up to 20 feet. It's also got a really showy, glossy leaf. And I just love the margins on the arrowwood, a real prominent lobing there, sharp, but not sharp to the touch by any means. And as we just mentioned, the blue clusters of fruits. The other viburnums we're going to look at have more of a red fruit. The viburnums are great for showy fall colors, and you can see here we are just starting to see our arrowwood change colors. And here we're next to a wayfaring viburnum, often referred to as wayfaring tree viburnum. This has got a much different leaf. None of those lobe margins we talked about, and it's kind of a rich, thick, leathery leaf. You can see we're picking up some of that nice fall coloring again. This habit that you see here, where we get those elongated stems kind of sporadically, quite common in the wayfaring viburnum. You're also going to get a nice fruit set with the wayfarings. This happens to be Mohican is the variety. This one's staying pretty small. I've got it growing in a pretty dry area, but here's one I caught a photo of where it's, look at that, good size, again up into that 8, maybe 10 foot range, and just a beautiful shrub. And here we're coming up on red balloon viburnum. Now, if I hadn't looked at my records and what variety this was, I would have swore it was one of the wayfaring viburnums. It has that same thick, leathery leaf, but this one actually is a hybrid viburnum. Gets its name, of course, from the red balloon. Look at these. These are the fruits that set after the flower, and wow, what a flower on this thing. Look at the close-up on this. Got that little yellow in there. Yeah, this is just a beautiful shrub with some interesting qualities. Again, throughout the season, you're going to get that spring flower. You've got an interesting foliage. You get into that red, and now look at that. Towards the fall, kind of a black raisin type fruit. So as it transitions, it's just fun to watch this shrub. Kind of has that same habit as the wayfaring, where it kicks up some of those taller leaders. I've also found over the years some of the viburnums, especially in that wayfaring group, they'll just get occasional dead twigs. I don't know why, but it's just something very common to that species. Now, one thing I have noticed about this viburnum and the Mohican we just looked at, that fall color, we don't always get it. This is one of those shrubs that tends to freeze off green, but we're getting a beautiful delayed October weather here, and man, I'm gonna take it, because look at this, we've got this coming. Yeah, we convince ourselves that we love the season, so we tend to go through that, but boy, it sure makes you appreciate a day like this. We'll take it. So the red balloon viburnum, love this shrub. And the nannyberry viburnum. This is probably the largest of all the viburnums we're going to look at today. It can get up into that 20 feet. It's got a nice fruit, the fall color, all the qualities that we've looked at in the other viburnums. And here we're coming up on Bailey Compact American Cranberry Bush Viburnum. That one's still pretty small. It's going to get a lot larger than that if we let it. I put it on the corner there because that gets hit with some of the most sweeping cold winds there are. And I'm going to put this in the Zone 2 category. So even though this is considered a compact shrub, this thing can still get up in that 8-foot range. Now, one of the reasons I like this shrub, because it will tolerate quite a bit of shade. I hadn't mentioned that about the other viburnums, but the viburnum group is a good one for tolerating shade. We're probably not going to get the flowering or the fruit set on this, especially when they're young. As it matures, gets a little bit older, you'll get some flowering, some fruit, but nothing like the high bush cranberry we're going to look at next, and that's the American viburnum. What stands out with this shrub is it's got a really nice red petiole on that leaf. And it's attractive little shrub. We don't always need flowering for a shrub to have a really good look and importance. And this one's just going to fit in here beautifully, because I'm going to make sure I keep this sheared every spring. I'll probably take off 6 to 8 inches and just keep it groomed, let it flush out. if I were to let it go, this is the kind of look you get on the compact viburnums we're talking about here. Kind of a bunchy look, a little bit irregular. And check out the fall color on this little guy. Man, isn't that nice? Here we have the European cranberry bush, and look at these flowers. Wow! Also referred to as the snowball viburnum, and you can see why. This is the roseum variety, which has a sterile flower, so no fruit here. The biggest drawback to this viburnum is the aphids seem to love it. And when you hear the name high bush cranberry, usually that means it's an American cranberry viburnum. Similar to size as the European viburnum, it has a more loose and open flower. And we should mention, even though we refer to it as a cranberry, these are not true cranberries that we find at our Thanksgiving table. It's also interesting to note that the wildlife do not seem to be as interested in the fruits till late winter, which makes the shrub a valuable plant for us with its winter interest qualities and becomes a valuable food source late in the winter for wildlife. Now, if you live in a warmer climate, you have a whole lot of other showy viburnums that you can grow. That's all we've got on viburnums for now. Thanks for watching Garden Hike. I appreciate it. We'll see you again soon, next video.